Today we're going to look at naming inorganic acids. Inorganic acids always have hydrogen at the beginning of their formula. There are two kinds of inorganic acids we're going to learn to name. The first one are the binary acids. Binary, remember, means that you only have two kinds of elements. Since hydrogen has to be in the acid, then of course one of these elements is going to be hydrogen. The other is typically a nonmetal, or even sometimes a metalloid. So here's some examples. You have your hydrogen with chlorine or your hydrogen with fluorine. Your other type that we're going to look at naming are your oxoacids. These are a little more difficult. Typically, these have three or more elements, and you're going to obviously have hydrogen as one of them to make it an acid, and then it's combined with a polyatomic ion that contains oxygen. So here's your hydrogen with the nitrate, hydrogen with the sulfate. So we'll spend a little bit of time, a little bit extra time on these oxoacids because they are a little more challenging. So let's look at the binary acids first. To name a binary acid, it always begins with the prefix hydro. Then you're going to add the root of your second element, and then finally add the ending ic acid. So this is kind of the generic part, your hydro here, your ic acid, and then whatever your second element is, you put kind of the root of that in between. So you've probably heard of HCl, which is hydrochloric acid. So the chlor comes from the chlorine as the second element. If you follow that same pattern and look at the next one, we have hydrogen with bromine. So again, since there's only two elements involved, you're going to start with hydro. Ic acid is going to be on the end. And since bromine is our second element, this will be bromic acid. So hydrobromic acid would be this one. Now if you look at this next example down here, then you can see that the hydrogen you actually have two of, and the reason is because your sulfur, remember, is going to have a -2 charge. Hydrogen has +1 charge when it's with a nonmetal, so you still have to make sure that your compound has a 0 overall charge. So the only way that can happen is to have 2 +1 hydrogens to go with your 1 - 2 sulfur. So on this one, again, as an acid, hydro is the beginning. This one, you keep really the whole name so it doesn't really cut off. So this one's hydrosulfuric acid. You just have to kind of get used to what the root is going to be. Sometimes it's the whole name, as in this case. Others, it's just part of the name. It kind of just has to sound correct. The next one, you have hydro with fluorine, so this will be hydrofluoric acid. So on that dry lab that we have on part number 3, it's going to ask you to name some binary acids.